D-Roy Cruz here, your life applications officer. Um, uh, Part 2 of this ordeal of so I'm making this video about. Oh, street people. Part 2. First certified citizens. Street people, I explained to you in the last video, are people that, let me pull this out here. Are people that, are always out there to where they can be in front of other people so that they can achieve something from other people. Some people want to be around other people because they're looking for attention. Some people want to be around other people because they're always needy and they want to be in a light to where they can always receive something from other people. And some people, one second here, let me pause this. So there's people who are always looking for attention for whatever reason. There's people who are always, they feel that, as I said in the last video, somebody owes them something. So they're always, where you can see their, whether it be their, anything from their tattoos all the way to their poverty, okay, all the way to their violence, their politics, okay. And then there are people who feel that they're very arrogant and they need to be in the spotlight. They need to always express themselves to other people in order to show off their arrogance, because if they can't do that, then they feel like a nobody. Me and a friend of mine today were talking about how so many people, again, like I said in the last video, and this is coming from a secular standpoint, because in a Christian standpoint it's more spiritual and we understand it more. But to those that don't understand, you have yet to answer the question as to why the LGBTQ community needs to come out of any kind of closet. Coming out of the closet doesn't get you more dates. It doesn't make people worship you for being gay. It doesn't make you, you know what I'm saying? When I came out of the closet as a Christian, I didn't go around and say, hey, I'm a Christian, so don't offend me. You know, and we as Christians, we find a lot of things offensive, but we didn't go into victim mode the minute we became Christian, okay? When we became Christian, that was power. That was belonging. That was finally, no matter how poor we are to no matter how rich we are, no matter how much prestige we have, no matter how lonely we are the power. We are on top. And we live in that pride every day. And I know that you want to take that pride and twist it to be more of a, you know, a more hedonistic pride. But it's not. It is more spiritual. It is more about confidence than it is about arrogance, okay? It's more about faith than it is about, showing off, okay? But there's so many people today that have no clue. As my brother kept saying over and over again, people don't understand. He kept saying that over and over again. People don't understand. People don't know. They don't know. If you think that you can look at this world and find a way to justify everything. You say, well, Cruz, DeRoy Cruz, it don't need no justification. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. The LGBTQ needs to be justified. Okay? The Democratic Party, period, needs to be justified. Street people need to be justified. Period. Which you cannot be justified, so you're fired. Okay, you are. Okay? There's no way to justify that. Now, in an atheist community, in the gay community, in a secular community that wants to use the victims and use the street people to control other people that they feel are, in places of power in which they want to pull them down from that high position, they'll use the street people. They'll use whatever street you're on for their advantage, okay? But everybody needs to be justified. We Christians are justified by Christ Jesus. Our faith and our commitment to Christ justifies us. Okay? And what are we being justified for? To abstain from what you people are doing. To say, I shall not do this or do that. I shall not. Okay? We are justified. We are set free from these things. Okay? The black community. Again. Me and a guy were talking today, and we make it unsimple. Like my guy said today that I was talking to, he's another conservative. He's a very conservative older fella, and he's been through a lot with this whole, bouncing from job to job and seeing how some things are pro-democratic and some things are pro-republican, but mostly pro-liberal. Okay? And even, outside of, trying to express yourself as a Christian, take Jesus out of it, and he always does this with his hands. I just want to smack people upside the head and knock some sense into them. He says that outside of the Christian community. Okay? He says you don't even need a Bible. Why are we hating on the Bible when you don't need a Bible to justify or claim that something is unjustifiable? All you need is common sense. Okay? He's right. 100% right. African Americans, if that's what you want to call us, We have a bad reputation. I'll say we. We have a bad reputation. Have you noticed the difference between 2021 and 1980? Some of y'all ain't been around that long. It's a big frickin' difference in the way white people are reading black people. And this is why I am this is why I'm not pro-black. This is why I love black people because I'm black. I don't have a choice. Okay, I really don't have a choice. I don't really get to pick. I'm black. Me hating on black people don't make white people love me, okay? You know what I'm saying? When I stand next to another black person, I'm just another Negro like the rest of them. I'm just another slave like the rest of them. Okay, if that's what you want to call yourself, okay? But the civil rights movement, Jim Crow, slavery, did not make us, after the civil rights movement and all that was abolished, and, I grew up, I was born in 1966. My eyes have been open since, I've been woke, so to speak, since I was, 17 years old. And, even then when I began to wake up, I was a Democrat. And then, after Bill Clinton, I just had it. I was done with the Democrats, okay? And I was glad somebody talked me through it. But the thing is, God wants to save as many souls on this planet that has a time limit. It's on a timer. He wants to save as many souls as will allow him to save them. Okay? Before everything self-destructs, before our time is up. And we have biblical time, we have earthly time, we have space time, we have human time. Okay? Everything's on a timer. And it has an expiration date. Okay? Even if you don't believe in heaven and you don't believe in hell, it's kind of dumb because you believe in global warming. You're afraid of global warming. Some of y'all freaking out over global warming. Y'all freaking out about, things that are going to happen. Yeah. Where's the book on this stuff? What is your backup plan? You don't have one because God didn't give you one. You don't have one, Mr. and Mrs. Atheist, Mr. and Mrs. Evolutionist. You don't have one because God didn't give you one. Some things can only be given by God. I don't care how much of an atheist you are. I don't care how liberal you are. I don't care how gay you are. Some things can only be given by God. Some forms of wisdom can only be given by God. That's why I sympathize. Because in the black community, we get dumbed down on every end. And yes, white people are involved in this. White people are to blame for some of this. White people are not to blame for racism, though. White people are not to blame for holding your black butt down. But white people are to blame for lying to black people. For lying and using black people. They use us. And when I say they, I'm talking about Democratic white folks. Okay. White nationalist white folks. Okay. KKK supporters, white nationalist supporters, people like that. Yes, these people do exist, and they're starting to really blow their horns. Okay, so everybody knows that they're there. So even as much as I agree with Jesse Lee Peterson on 98.99, okay, some things do exist because they said it right out of their mouth. Okay? But it ain't the cops that are saying that stuff. Now, this is my theory on racism. Racism is natural. Okay? Now, some people say we all have a racist bone in our body. I don't necessarily agree with that. I believe that some of us view humans we look at race as each race has its lack of what's that word, enhancement, trying to think of a good word. Every race has its lack of vitality, maybe. Every race has its lack of, there it is, proper structure. Every race has its lack of proper structure. Okay? I look at a lot of my immigrant neighbors, okay? They have things about them that they think are up here, but in this country they're down here. Because you don't need to do that. There's nothing nutritious or science. It doesn't have nothing to do with science. It doesn't have nothing to do with culture, or it doesn't help. It's not going to make nobody love you, or you know what I'm saying? It doesn't help you to do certain things in a democracy like this, or a free country, I should say, like this. It doesn't pay you to, but, if you live that way in your own country, okay, I'll let that slide. But again, like I said in the last video and many other videos, if I was to go to another country, okay, as much as I'm not too crazy about Indians and Arabs, okay, if I was to go to their country, my best friend would be if I was in India, he'd be an Indian. If I was in Afghanistan, he'd be Arab. Okay? So, if I was in China, most of my best friends would be Chinese. Why? Because that's their culture, their motherland, okay? Their bloodline. I'm just a guess. And when you tell me that we got Black Lives Matter marching in Japan, you can kiss my black hide. Really, literally. You can kiss my black hide. That is dumb. Ain't enough black people in Japan to be marching. No Black Lives Matter. And who's doing this? A black college student is spearheading this garbage. Working for the not LGBT, I'm sorry. Working for Black Lives Matter, community, trying to get her a place up there in the sky with the Black Lives Matter community. She decides to go to Japan, and these Japanese people, because they don't want to offend the black people. They don't want to make the black kids angry. Like Colin Flaherty says, they don't want to make the black kids angry. They don't want them rioting in Japan. They're going to let them start to, now they ain't letting them do it like they do it out here in the States. But they're letting them speak their voice. When these Japanese people for the longest didn't even welcome black people into their country. As soon as they start letting them come in there, now they gotta, as soon as they start letting them, build lifestyles and have jobs and do more than just visit. Now they have to, pretty soon they'll be asking Japanese people to get down on one knee. Okay? You can kiss my black eye. All you black people that think that you need this pride and this arrogance to be black, don't bring it here. I say this to church people, my own blood family. I've had these arguments with family members, church members, you name it. Don't bring that garbage to me. This is the United States of America. This ain't niggerdom. This ain't slavery. This ain't Jim Crow. Now, if you still feel some kind of way because you think you've been through that, you think you know what it's about, okay? You do you. But don't bring it here. It's not everybody's problem. And I don't give a darn about no black man getting shot. Who? Who got shot? Do I know this person? And this is the thing. We don't march for a black cop getting shot. We don't march for a black school teacher getting shot. We don't march even for a 12-year-old black child getting shot. But we'll march because a white cop shot a black thug. So we'll march. But all the time, innocent people got shot. Oh, nobody didn't know him. They didn't even know the dude because he didn't have a criminal record. And if these white people are dumb enough to, and like my friend said today, me and him always have a good talk when we get together. He said white people today ain't like they used to be. Number one, white people wouldn't put up with a lot of stuff that's going on today. And secondly, white people are just dumb today. You don't understand where this is racism coming from the other race? The whole Black Lives Matter, getting down on one knee. They got all y'all Democrats supporting this garbage. Okay? Meanwhile, what are you doing? And this is where black folks are dumb too. Meanwhile, what are you doing? You still don't like black people? This BLM garbage and all this black victimization politics is not making anybody like black people. They're making more. If you thought white people was racist yesterday, they're more racist today thanks to you, black people. If you thought Asians were a problem yesterday for black people, they're a bigger problem today thanks to black people. That is my problem with the black community, because the black community is its own worst enemy. That is my problem. I understand if I go out there, and a white man don't like me. I understand if a white cop don't like me. I've been there. I know. Like, for example, I know, like, you can go out there and if a crime happens and you were standing right there when the crime happened, they will not let your black behind even report the crime or tell your side of the story, as if because it's crime you're involved in some kind of way, so they don't want to hear your side of the story. Dude, I was walking down the street minding my own business. I walked out of the church. We was inside worshiping God, and I came out here to see what was going on, and I saw the whole thing. I was the first responder. They don't want to hear it. I've not been able to even go to the police station when my kids were in trouble and they were attacked on the street or attacked by their boyfriends or whatever. You know, I'd go with my daughter to the police department to find out about the case that our family is in. And they did not want to share it with us because they felt that they don't owe us that. But we're the victims here. You don't owe us to let us look into our case to see what's going on. Now, I got to admit, here in Pittsburgh recently when I got mugged, I got a card sitting over here on this table. I can keep calling and calling and calling and calling to find out what is the status of my case. The problem is they're not doing a darn thing about it. Those guys that mugged me, I see them every week, twice a week. They walk right past me. And they look at me like, don't I know you from somewhere? You know? They're not doing anything. Okay? So, you know, I understand. But the problem with white cops, okay, ain't them shooting black folks. The problem with white cops is them not responding to crime, period. And now, thanks to you people trying to defund the police, okay, thanks to you always playing victimization, okay, no matter what you did wrong or right, you're always the victim, okay? No matter what, you're the victim if you're black. You're a victim because you're here. And that's the way a lot of black people walk around with that attitude every day. Oh, they're victims because they live in America. It doesn't matter whether it's a cop or an Asian person or an Indian person or a Spanish person or another black person. We're all victims because we black and we live in America. Dumbest thing I've ever heard. How come all these other dark skinned, and some of them darker than me, how come they ain't complaining like that? How come these Africans don't talk like that? How come these Indian people don't talk like that? I mean, black folks fuss and complain and gripe and moan and groan more than Native Americans. Okay? I'm sorry, I can't dance with that. I really can't. I cannot dance with that. But I'm going to close there. Just adding on to the last one, trying to clarify some things. I should have listened to that video before I did this. But what I'm doing is I'm testing out this new camera because I get more time if I use the smaller resolution. So I'm going to see how this works. I don't care if it's small on my screen, long as it's not like it is here, where there's all this, and then I'm way over here. I'm hoping it'll look better like this when I record it to YouTube. So, anyway, D-Roy Cruz, your Life Applications Officer, signing off. I will come back with more for a part 3. God bless you. Have a great night.